About 6 months ago, I was having dinner with a friend, and we started to talk about politics. I had been a lifelong conservative Democrat with some very, very strong political views, actually. Having come from a culture, literally a culture of the Democratic Party. My father was a union organizer. He was the general manager of the New York Joint Board of the International Ladies Garment Workers Union, and he was the vice president. You have to support the party. And I grew up that way. Giving some more background about my father. He was right about many things, my father. One of the things that he was most right about was that imports were going to destroy our country, and that manufacturing, if it disappeared, as it has, basically vanished, we as a nation would not be able to survive. Manufacturing is what drives a nation. But we were both in the dark, and over dinner that night, I was awakened with a challenge. I didn't believe it, but I said I would check it out. The 3 things he told me to check out. He told me to check out Rockefeller, Rothschild, and the New World Order. And those 3 things were became like a spider web of evil that has tentacles like an octopus, or more like a centipede, everywhere, entrenched in our society, in our banking system, in our media. I bought the fact that there was actually a difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. I bought what everybody lives every day. I came to an awakening, an understanding. It's like being blind your whole life, literally, unable to see. Your life is in darkness. And then all of a sudden you can see. And everything that you thought you knew, like the sound of a bird, what it looks like compared to the sound, you find out that it's different than what you anticipated it to be. You envisioned it being something else. You see it in your mind's eye, what your mind wants it to be, or perceives it to be. This is just human behavior. If you're blind and cannot see, and do not know what something looks like, your mind is going to make up an image. Isn't that true? And you're going to have some sort of a perception. Could you be close to it? Only if you had heard a description of what it was. But if you were never given a description of what the object or entity looks like, there's no way you could actually know what it is. So once you realize what it is, once you see the truth, it's like your sight has been restored, because you've just been in darkness. This has all been going on. It's just you were unaware of it. It's that simple. Interestingly enough, now when you look at the sound off section, after being awakened, and you read what people say and what's being written, this is in the October, 6th, basically, it's today's paper. October 6th, Register Citizen, sound off. This is comments from the people. Legal slaves. Let's face it, rich people have beat the working man down to the point of legalized slavery. When a man is working 3 jobs, how does he have a balanced life that includes family, friends, and time for oneself? The U.S. has lost its soul and has been replaced by the greenback. Now let me explain this to you. This is an awesome, it's unbelievable. I get chills literally because it's so hideous what this is all saying and what the explanation and the truth behind it is. Let's face it, okay? This whole truth is, the idea of the New World Order, these global elitists want to just, first of all, religion is going to be, they're anti-religion. They want, this is a secular takeover. Now, I am not a religious zealot, not a churchgoer or anything. I have my beliefs, as everybody should, as every American and every worldwide citizen has a right to their own beliefs. And those rights are protected in our country. So I'm with that. But they literally want to destroy religion. And they're doing it through the churches, and they're controlling us. They're getting into the churches, and they're telling pastors and priests their agenda, that Romans 13, always going to that, disarm the people, don't go against the government, listen to the government, be with the government. Back to the quote. Okay, here's what's going on. A man working 3 jobs can't have time for his family, can't have time for anything. Wages are down, prices are up. This is intended slavery. They actually did this. They destroyed manufacturing. The minimum wage never could pay for it's not a minimum wage. Technically, you don't even need a minimum wage because you couldn't live on that. So what, are you going to make them live on less? It's silly because technically people will work for anything in this country. They are slaves. And when the economy got this bad, they're proving it. People making $100,000, $80,000, $70,000 are taking jobs at McDonald's to pay their bills. So don't tell me this isn't by design. Don't tell me that this wasn't planned, that the bankers didn't do it once before and they're going to do it again. So yeah, the dissolution of the family, being a slave to the grind, literally, and loving it, because you know that things are going to get better. Things are not going to get better unless we change them, and the way to change them is basically to get the government out of our lives. They're controlled by the global elite. Their agenda hasn't changed. The Obama deception is exactly that, a deception. Remember, I voted for this man. I bought the collector plate. I bought the whole kit, hook, line, and sinker. The deal is dead. The New Deal started under FDR has brought us to today where Social Security is broke and no one can be sustained, and no longer can be sustained. The New Deal has failed. Sure, it failed. I just explained why. All of these programs enriched the bank. You don't understand, the bankers funded this. They went nuts. And every dollar that's produced, we're still paying interest from those days. It's just, Germany just paid off their final debt payment. These are criminals. War reparations. This goes back so far, it's the Rothschild money going back in our country to the beginning, basically in the beginning. I'm not going to turn this into a history lesson today. We only have a short time. I'm going to finish this, though. The Great Society started under LBJ brought us Medicare. Another program that is broken, failing. The society programs do not work. It's true. This whole thing has been designed. It's just an implosion. And then to top it all off, aside from the economic and socio-destructive situation, the actual currency, the actual physical wealth, the dollar, the value, is nothing. It's zero. Quadrillion. That's 4.5 quadrillion. That's 4,500 trillion. That's what that is. It's an impossible number in derivatives to pay off. They're going to crush the currency to zero. Nothing. They're just going to end it. Just like the Confederate dollars became worthless after the Civil War. People don't remember a lot of the things that have happened, but people were wiped out in the South and they had to accept the other currency and they couldn't get things in trade. The bankers made a fortune again. They put them in slavery. We freed the slaves and put the American people further into slavery. This is really what's happened. Things are not as they appear to be. And this is what everybody has to understand. This is why I'm giving this introduction. Because our country is under attack. And it's not by a foreign nation, or by terrorists, Or actually it really is. But the terrorists are the Council on Foreign Relations, the United Nations, the Bilderberg Group, the Club of Rome, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, and the Trilateral Commission. And many people in government, people in the private sector, have no idea that it's in very high places. Like my father, this is my example. My father was a high-level union officer. He had no idea what was really going on. People in high places of industry, CEOs of companies don't know what's going on. It's an elite core of people that are controlling this, controlling shares, controlling interests, silent partnerships. These things are all perfect fronts for these people. Our government is controlled by a evil cabal that is slowly destroying our country. Here's the latest tyranny. Just happened. An addendum that I must include. October 7th, toxic red sludge hits the Danube River. They're saying that it's safe, they're saying it's okay, and it happens to be the Danube River. It just happens to be the one river that flows through like almost every country in Europe. Very ironic. They're saying that it's safe, that it's not going to be a problem, it's going to be dispersed, everything's fine. Like they said everything's safe about BP down there in the Gulf. Why don't you go down to the Gulf or go speak to people or listen to what people are putting on the internet from down there? They know that this isn't true. They know that the government's lying. They're covering things up. BP's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's all by design. Who owns BP? It's British Petroleum. Who's behind British Petroleum? The Rothschild family. This is a perfect example of a setup. This is going to keep happening. There's going to be these ecological disasters to compound the issue, to compound the problems, where it only can have a global solution. They must have crises that require a global solution. Does anybody realize that's what they've been talking about? Everything is going to require everything. The whole agenda, if you just listen, is a global agenda. It's all about only the world can solve this problem. Only if we join together. Only if we go together. Only if we do this together. I worry about my family, my son, my wife, my friends, and I worry about you. Because if you're with me, and you know, you're going to help spread the word. And you're going to continue to do this and make your own videos, make your own awareness tapes, do your own work, and share it. But if you didn't, you're going to not look at this or think it's crazy and maybe never pay attention to it and do nothing. We're going to spread awareness because this is hideous truths. And if we don't understand what's really happening and the explanation behind everything, you see, you have to read between the lines. They're taking away our rights every day. And they do it. It's not that they legally take it away. They just do it. You see it all the time. Tasering women that are 75 years old. You know, a black man being tasered that's a double amputee, like my father ended up in his life. Can you imagine somebody tasering my father? A double amputee, 90 years of age. They do it. It is a systematic destruction of our culture. The family circle, the religious aspect, and then using religion against us, using the preachers, because that's the only way they can get to the actual masses, because certain states and certain areas have tremendous adherences to their community and their flock. And of course the CIA knows this, and the CIA is a front through this whole thing. This whole thing is a tremendous conspiracy. It's like unbelievable. And we're going to be covering it. Please, spread the word, spread the message. This is only the beginning, I hope, of your awakening.
Isn't it odd that the Lehman Brothers, AIG, GM, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and the banking industry all fell apart at exactly the same time so that they knew that we needed to have a bailout for all these people, for all these industrialists, all these banking people. Doesn't anybody think anymore? Couldn't anybody see that? Why would it all happen at the same time? It was by design.